Murder has no discrimination. It can happen in any setting. You can be rich, you can be poor. Today's episode is about the Menendez brothers and the heinous crime that they committed. Stay tuned as we go through what side do you see.
Welcome, welcome. If you're new here, we will introduce ourselves.
I'm your girl, Shirag.
And I'm Edu, or you can call me Ed. And today we got a good one. But before we get into all of the content we're going to talk about today with the Menendez brothers.
Yes, this is for education entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research and always be kind to everyone, friends, family, strangers.
Everyone, everywhere. And I realized, Shirag, when I said Menendez, I didn't practice trying to say that really fast. Menendez brothers. Whew.
Menendez.
So this one is interesting. What side do you see? Because these guys are looking to try to get out of some jail time. They're trying to get out. I don't want to, do a spoiler here, but this is what we're talking about. We want you guys to think about this and say, do you really think that there's they're misunderstood and they had all the stuff going on when they were younger and all the abuse, or are they really evil and manipulating? And again, you decide that, right, Shirag?
Yes, definitely. I already decided.
Well, we'll have to wait to the end to get that info. The people got to stay tuned for that. All right, let's get rolling here. So the Menendez brothers, Lyle and Eric, lived in a luxurious, style mansion in Beverly Hills. I mean, that sounds like anybody's would love to live there, don't you think? We have a friend that lives there, and it's beautiful. Really nice. We went out and visit when we were out there. Anyhow, Jose Menendez was quite wealthy. He built his fortune through a successful career in the entertainment industry, of all things. Born in Cuba, he moved to the United States. Okay? And over the next 20 years, Jose would work in the film industry in Princeton, New Jersey, where his two sons were born, and they then in California, where they joined the, let's see if I could say this right, Caraco Film Company. So it sounds pretty cool. I mean, New Jersey is a nice area. Being from the East Coast, we know that area, and then going to California, sounds like great opportunities at this point, right?
Definitely.
And Lyle, the older brother, was known to be more outgoing and assertive, while Eric was considered to be more sensitive and introverted. Which is true. If any of you guys are following this case and see some of the court and see some of the documentaries, there's some good ones out, I believe, on Netflix right now and other places. You definitely will see that there is a big dramatic difference between the two brothers. The Menendez brothers were involved in various activities typical for, those typical families, very, sporty, I would guess. They would play such things as tennis and, they had private schooling. But they also struggled with the pressures and expectations placed upon them by their parents. I think their parents are trying to set a certain standard of living in a certain set class and be around certain type of people. And, that can be very stressful. I'm sure, I don't think through my reading I read on the grades, but I'm sure that played into it too. So academically, their performance was less than notable. And they were known for, they were not known for excelling in their studies. So again, just to segue into what I just said about, I'm sure their parents wanted them to be just as good, if not better, keep things moving. And they probably looked at that as being successful in their studies, as being part, a hint of that. So the brothers experienced several emotional, physical, and abuse, ex-abuse, if you know what I mean, the word S, abuse, at the hands of their father. Okay, I know this is alleged, but a lot of people have seen some of this abuse firsthand. Maybe not the S, that's the letter S. I won't say the word abuse, but some of the other things for sure. Okay, they claimed that the abuse was created, basically the house was just full of fear and tension. And of course, when you have that, you don't know. It's like you don't know what sort I'm looking for. You don't. You're on matchsticks, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Needles and pins.
Pins
Pins and needles.
Pins and needles. I was trying to look for that saying, which But in other situations, I've been like that. When you're with somebody, you just don't know what's going to spark them off. You could say something innocent, and then next thing you know, they're off on some weird tangent. The mother was also described as being emotionally unstable and neglectful, contributing to the tumultuous family environment. So, they were getting it from both sides. So, as their teenage rebellion, as they entered their teenage years, both brothers began to exhibit all kinds of troubling behaviors. Eric engaged in a series of burglaries in 1988, which blows my mind coming from such an affluent family, which led him to court-ordered therapy sessions with Dr. Jerome Orzel, if I say these names right. So during these sessions, Eric began to express, feelings of inadequacy and rebellion against his father's oppression and control while attending Princeton University, but faced academic challenges, including suspension for plagiarism. Probably just wanted to get by. Probably wasn't, really into it. But early on August 20th, 1989, Lyle was 21. Eric Menendez was 18. Purchased shotguns from the Big Five sporting goods store. They used fake IDs to make the purchase. And again, I know that goes into a lot of people say with these gun controls. That evening, their parents were watching television in the den. The brothers entered the room and began shooting. Jose Menendez was shot multiple times, including in the head, while Kitty Menendez was shot as she tried to run away. She was shot a total of 10 times, so I want to make sure she didn't get away. After the murderers, the brothers attempted to create an alibi. They disposed of shotguns, went to see the movie Batman, and visit a local festival. They later returned home and called 911, pretending to have discovered the bodies. And we've seen that in many different cases we cover, Shira, right? So initially, the police did not suspect the brothers and considered the possibility of a mob hit due to Jose Menendez's business connections. However, over time, their lavish spending and inconsistent statement raised suspicions. So I always wondered if they just kept their cool, would they have been, caught? Interesting thing to think about. Because here's what they did. They spent approximately $700,000 following their parents' death, including purchases like a $60,000 Porsche, a $50,000 tennis coach for Eric, and a $550,000 cafe in Princeton, New Jersey. So this is a lot of spending. Of course, $50,000 for a Porsche now is not. Let's go out and buy one, Shirai. Anyhow, let's hear this.
He, after telling me a lot of detail about his depression and his feelings of despair, at some point in the session, he asked me to take a walk with him and to leave the actual physical office that we were in. So we did take a walk. We walked outside the office and to a small restaurant called the Bagel Nosh, and just used the restroom facilities there, and then took a walk from the Bagel Nosh to a strip of land.
This is a psychologist, Dr. Jerome
in
Orzel.
Beverly Hills. He sat on a bench, and for a significant period of time, Eric told me things about his father and how his father was a great man and how he intended to write a book about his father, and that it was amazing that his father wouldn't be able to fulfill a lot of the goals that he'd had, a lot of the ambitions, and maybe he could help do that in a book that he would write. And at some point in the session, as we were sitting in the park, we just discussed going back to the office, and we headed back to the office, and right before we entered the front door of the office building in which I had my office, he leaned back against, as I recall, a parking meter that was in front of the office door and said, "We did it." And I don't know if he said we killed our parents, but I asked him, you mean you killed your parents? He said yes. And from that point, we went back up into the office.
Very interesting. I guess the heat and self-conscious was weighing heavy. So after the arrest, as you can imagine, after that, that's what happened. The two men were they claimed that their parents, abused them in the S way, and to escape their abuse, the boys, murdered them. And the police found evidence that indicated both Lyle and Eric wanted their inheritance estimated to be several $1 million. Unbelievable. So back then, that's a lot. We'll go a lot further than today, that's for sure. The tapes were a pivotal piece of evidence during the trial. In 1996, the brothers were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And that's key for what we're going to talk about. Kim Kardashian has recently, so this is 2024, so this is very recent, over the last year or so, I guess, advocated for the release for both of them that were convicted in murdering their parents back in 1989, okay? And in a personal essay, she expressed that she believes they are not monsters and highlighted their positive behavior and contributions while in prison. She argued that the brothers were unfairly treated by prosecutors and the media, and she hopes their life sentences will be reconsidered. She has spent time with the brothers and described them as kind, intelligent, and honest men who have earned multiple college degrees and work as caregivers in prison. So what's really interesting is that, between both of these things, monster or, being abused victim, what side do you see? Now, we could go into a lot more detail. We're giving you guys the high level of what's going on. You could tell. Here, let me switch over here so you guys can see us and see the screen. So one thing, and then I'll turn it to Schrock for her comments, is, yes, we didn't go into all the gruesome detail, but you know that the Menendez brothers wanted to make sure that both parents were absolutely done. I think that's why they're shot so many times. And again, I'm trying to be neutral. I'm not saying that it wasn't horrific. And I just think that, when you're panicking and you don't want to see one person leave or survive, you want to make sure the job is done. That could be a possibility. If you're on the other side of the fence, you could say, oh my God, why do you have to shoot the person all that time? And why do you have to do the head and all this other stuff? On the other hand, too, if you've gone through a lot of personal struggles and any type of abuse, you at some point when you become more of a young adult, you want to start your own life and head your own path, and maybe it was just too much. Again, I'm not saying one way or the other right now. I'm just trying to say, what do you see? All right, I talked a lot. I gave a lot of background. Shirok has done a lot of,
Yes,
looking into this.
I've been doing a lot of digging on this case. Like you said, this is like a succinct, quick video of what happened, but there's definitely a lot of other stuff behind the scenes. Like they say he developed PTSD due to the beatings and stuff like that. And a cousin actually experienced some of this. We didn't talk about that piece of it, but the cousin was like, yeah, there was definitely some type of abuse there with the Menendez brothers. Now, the secret part of this that nobody really knows is that we noticed that Jerome, I guess he was the psychiatrist, and he actually was on stand talking about this.
Yeah.
But when he gave his confession, the Menendez brothers, he basically stated that this was silent. This was like, due to like laws and stuff, this was not supposed to be revealed to the world. Like when you talk to your psychiatrist.
Right. It's almost like talking to a priest, right? They're not supposed to.
Yes, they're not supposed to talk. In a way. So he never told the police. How did the police find out?
Anonymous. I don't know. Yeah.
So this was the interesting part that I looked up, and it was really good. I think I know her last name was Smith, but I think her name is Jaludon Smith. So what happened was the psychiatrist Jerome told his mistress, right?
Oh. And he's talking to so many people.
He was talking, and when she found out, she was like, "Oh my goodness, I think you should tell the police." And then that happened, but she didn't. He said, "No, we can't tell the police because due to psychiatry, you're not supposed to say anything. So everything's supposed to be just confidential, right?"
Sure.
So when she actually broke up with him, she went to the police and she was like, "I know what really happened," because so that's how it got really out in the media and everyone. And that's how it got exposed, which was interesting, and that was the only reason they probably got away with it. Because everybody thought the mafia did it because, he probably was been in the mafia. But that was not the case. So that's very interesting I found about this case. Now, what side do you see? What side do I see? I see, of course, I'm always seeing both sides of everything because, you got to evaluate and compare everything. But these guys were young. They were, I'm going to just say, like, they didn't have it all there. They have a rich life. This is the American dream, right? This is what we all what most of us try to get. Beautiful homes, beautiful cars, don't have to worry about money. And they had it all. And it's like, they kind of confused, like, we have this already. Like, why we keep trying to, of course, like going to school and get educated. But that side is good. And then they grew up to men and they learned. And I think that everyone get a second chance. I mean, how many years they did in prison? 30? They 55 now. They're around, So
yeah, I mean, I think only by age that they should be given a second chance, though. However, some of the stuff is obviously subjective. There's other means to handle their abuse. There's other, even at the time that this happened, there's a lot of tools out there. I mean, they murdered them and they went on the spending spree. I don't know.
They were young.
Still, but I agree that, the never, having a possibility of parole, I think only based on the age. But you guys let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
But while we're doing that, we just gave a broad stroke. But if you're interested in other shows, let me mention at least 5 documentaries you can watch right now that you can get into more detail to form your opinion. One is the most recent, the Menendez Brothers, as I mentioned, on Netflix, that came out in 2024. And, basically it provides insights into claims of abuse of the father. So if you're on that side, or if you want to know more about that, that's really good. There's Menendez and, Boys Betrayed. There's something out in Peacock in 2023. It's a 3-part docuseries with the allegations against abuse, again with Jose, the father. In 2022, Suburban Nightmare, the Menendez Brothers. That's a 2B documentary, focuses on the events surrounding the murders and delves into the alleged abuse. Again, all these touch upon the abuse. You notice a theme here, and I wonder if it's done on purpose, by the way. Then Truth and Lies, the Menendez Brothers in 2017. That was a special ABC that examines whether greed or abuse motivated the brothers. Again, maybe that's a little bit more both sides. That's another good one if you get your hands on that one. Also, that same year, the Menendez Murders, Eric Tells All. It's an A&E docu-series, and it goes into in-depth interviews with Eric and his childhood experiences and all that stuff. So that's a little more firsthand. So those are just 5 that you guys can just delve into and to get to know more.
And this is what I want to say. I know he gave those 5s, but I rather, this is just me, I would go after them themselves and hear from their mouth. I don't like sometimes second and third, because sometimes things change as communication transpires to something else. So if Lies was saying this to Eric, I would just like basically listen to those, because those
so
are
they probably want to look at more of the A&E ones, right, and the other ones, the ABC, because
and after David,
those are
do
more,
that as well.
You can read the person to what Shrock is saying and get an idea. Some of the other ones, there's actors and things like that, so you gotta,
right,
if you're really into this case, dive into those. But for us, we like to do what side do you see, and kind of give a little bit. This has been out. We're kind of a little late to the game on this one. This has been out for a while, so we didn't want to go into details to rehash.
Right.
We want to know what you guys think and why, because as we do these, we kind of learn, different sides of opinion where people sit on this, because this deals with abuse as well as the crime. So this is probably this is going to be the last regular episode of what we would call our old style show, our first year.
Yes.
Let me explain. So we're recording this extremely early. I'm out like a couple months early. And this is going to be out December 12th, if I figured out right. So the next
Thursday.
episode after this, it's going to be a wild one, because it's going to show exactly our new format. That we're still going to do true crime.
Yes.
But it's going to be a new format and some surprises. You're not going to want to miss it on December 19th. You got to watch that episode, guys. If you've been keeping up to us or you knew, you got to check that out. That's coming out the 19th. That's telling all about what we're doing for next year.
Right. And I want to expand on that as well. So even though we're changing our format, we're coming more deep dive, better than before. It's not going to change. What we're saying is still going to be facts, true crime and what we found out. Like you say, you still got to do your own research, but everything will still be facts of what we learned.
It's going to be topics that some are known, some are not well known.
Yeah.
I don't mind giving a couple now. Like one, and we're going to cross many different genres too, because obviously true crime covers a lot of things.
Yeah.
We might talk about, more recent case. We may talk about like the best escape or the most famous bank robbery, how that went down, who was involved. We're going to talk about the first witch hanging in the United States. You're going to be surprised when it was and where it was.
And one thing I also want to focus on as well is that we're going to talk about some crime that happened in our state, because that's really knowledgeable. Like the state we live in, we know
their
that.
towns, yeah. But besides that, we're just, we might talk about like some historical. We're going to touch upon the scary, the quote unquote, the paranormal, the more historical, the more recent, the more famous. But we're going to do that, and we got some tools, and you'll see. I'm not going to ruin it.
Not
You're
yet.
going to see how we're going to do it. The one thing I will give a hint on involves AI technology. Okay, that's enough of that. Then the episode after that, you're going to want to tune into too, even though it's not a regular episode. It's going to be our first year. We're going to go through back in history to January 2nd in 2024. That was our first episode. How we navigated for like music into the true crime and how we like matured. Remember, this is our first year. So we wanted to do this as a learning experience and just try different things. And that's why if you watch us to say, geez, they're here. That's what we wanted to do. We kind of wanted to develop what we like, what you guys like, kind of meld it together, because this is our passion. We just enjoy doing this. I mean, but we want to, do something of value, and we want to be a little bit cutting edge. So the next year is where I would say, come into our own, is our second year of existence on YouTube. So very exciting stuff. Sorry for the long thing, but if you guys watch this is our last episode of our old stuff. And now we're going to get on to our new stuff. Anything else, Shrock?
Yes, thank you for watching. I know we was a little long-winded. We're excited. That's why you hear the excitement in our voice, because we can't wait.
This for a couple. That's why we did all our episodes early. So we start.
And we know this is like Christmas time, so hopefully you got what you want for Christmas,
happy
and you
holidays,
did your Christmas
Merry
shopping.
Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yes.
And it's going to be great 2025, guys.
Stay tuned.
What do you say?
Studio 7.
That's what I was waiting for.